Brad, I'd like to share just some personal thoughts I have about leadership. I believe that it was a leadership issue that led us into the problem that we now call sin. If you think about the words that God recalls and gives to the prophet Isaiah, he quotes Lucifer at the time of Lucifer's rebellion. He quotes Lucifer as saying, "I will ascend." He got like 5 ascent statements. One is he said he'd rise above the clouds. One is I'll ascend to the throne at the highest point. But I will. And it's all about going up. And the story clearly suggests that Lucifer was about finding satisfaction for himself in a position higher than what he already had. And, I'm not a young man anymore. I hate to call myself an old man, but here we go. I'm old enough that I have experienced life to the degree that I think I can honestly say that most of the problems that I have experienced in the family of God are problems that arise over issues of position. Very, very often that plagues us as a community. And I guess I find myself at times wondering what it would be like to have a community that is positionless. And I know that I'm being a little idealistic right now, but I hope you'll bear with me on this. I believe that that position is incidental to leadership. It's not essential. You hear God talking to God in Genesis 1:26, and he simply is making a suggestion. Let's make man like us. It's amazing that the Trinity would be talking to one another, and one of those three would simply make a suggestion. Let's make them like us. And they do. And there are 3 of them, but you sense absolutely no positional stress in that relationship. And I read in the Gospel of John, Jesus says, "I'm in the Father, the Father's in me, and the Spirit is in you, and you're in me, and we're all in each other." And it's this amazing concept of oneness that is so complete that Jesus can talk about the Holy Spirit coming to his people, and he will say, "I will come to you." Now that's a melding of identity that is so amazingly complete. That oneness is so complete that there's no room for jealousy. There's no room for stress over position. And I guess I'm a little bit of a romantic when I think about what the church might be, but I wonder what the church would be like if we could function without position. And again, I would say that position is really incidental to leadership. If we receive position, we should already be leading in order to qualify for it. Therefore, position is not a necessity for leadership. Otherwise, you would never have leaders that you could put into position. But let me move to one other story. I don't want to prolong this, but you take that moment when James and John's mother came into the room and said to Jesus, "I would like for James to sit here and John to sit here, one on the right and one on the left." And amazingly, and I don't think Jesus was a rude person, but he did not answer her. In fact, he didn't even recognize her. He turned directly to James and John and says, "You really think you can handle that?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we can do it." And so it was from there that Jesus goes into this conversation about lording over and this business of controlling people and what have you. And he says this may be something that happens among people of the world. But he said, "This is not for you. This is not for you." I thought about that, and I thought about the disciples, the community of the disciples, which was really our roots. This is where we were founded. And there's nothing in the scriptures that gives any suggestion that the community of the disciples had any other structure other than collegial friendship. In fact, Jesus is recorded in John 15:15 as saying to his disciples, no more servant and friend. No more servant and master. From now on it's going to be friend. And that's a marvelous and amazing thing to think about the creator of the universe who voluntarily lays aside any possibility of being seen as the center pin in that community of disciples. And he drops down to the level of his disciples. He drops down to the level of his disciples. And you have what we would say today, a totally flat organization without position. And Salome had tried to impose position on it. Jesus sidesteps it, and he comes out the other end with even flatter position or flatter organization than he had before. And yet we look at churches, and I'm not just my church, but almost any churches, and hierarchy, whether it be a hierarchy of order or a hierarchy of power, hierarchy is a part of almost every church I know about. And I just have to wonder if we have missed something. Have we become so enamored of organization and position and status and ranking that we have forgot what the community of disciples was really all about? And looking at the tenacity which Jesus clung to this model of flat organization, where position is simply not an issue. It's about relationships. And so my musings here may be a little disconnected, but let me just finish it with this thought. That the church today should still center around relationships. And position should be incidental to the leadership behaviors that are necessary to sustain a healthy community.